Well, here I am again. Actually, this episode is the second part of the last episode. And I'm actually thinking, have I literally got the guts to tell you about this one? A lot brought me to this point. A lot of wondering, would I ever be with another man again? I also had this fear that maybe that handsome Serbian would rock up on my doorstep and want to have sex. And I hadn't had sex for 9 years. I mean, for God's sake. I don't know what to say about all that. Years and years ago, I went to a gig with a girlfriend, actually a beautiful friend. She's actually quite well known. I'm not going to mention her name. I might get her onto a podcast at a later date. But she was actually, she actually had free tickets for us to this great big gig, and she was keen on this sound man. But anyway, she just said to me that she was probably my age or maybe a little bit older by this time. And I'll never forget her saying, I would love another kiss and cuddle before it's all over and I never get to do it again. You know, she was a bit of a role model because she never really did get that kiss and cuddle again. Well, I don't think she did. She never told me. And then I used to think of my mum. Now, mum, at 68, was in a nursing home, which sadly was so tragic. She had strokes and she lived out her days there. She died at 83, but all those days of 15 years she had in a nursing home. But mum always loved men. Now, my mother, when I was 16 and I knew guys who had motorbikes, she'd be off on the back of their bikes. She probably slept with them and smoked a joint with them, but that was my mum, you know. That was in the 70s too, so it was also a good excuse. But dear old mum, she loved her men, and even in the nursing home she'd say, oh, I like that guy over there. Or, oh, look at that young one and his nice legs. Mum had an eye for the men. Oh, God, I love my mother. My mum would have said, you go for it, Joe. On the day I finally said to Mum, I told him, talking about my ex-husband, told him to fuck off, Mum. Mum said, about time. I'm so proud of you. So Mum was the most supportive person ever, and she loved her men and she loved sex. She didn't care all her life. She didn't care what anybody else said. That's the way my mum was. And I sort of had built up a barrier towards sex myself because of my ex. You know, when you're with somebody for so long and you're not having sex anymore, there's only one reason. It's really nothing wrong with yourself. This is what I've worked out. It's just sick of the same old bloke and the same old way and the same old thing that you just don't want to go there ever again, you know? I often hear men, that was another online dating thing. Some guy actually rang me and said, oh, I hope you're still good after menopause. And I'm like thinking to myself, where does this bloody guy think he is? He goes, well, my ex-wife after menopause never wanted me again. And I thought to myself, well, maybe because you were a wanker, you know? Maybe you weren't good at sex and she didn't want sex from you anymore. I mean, men have this thing that women have just got to give out and have sex with them all the time. And, you know, we don't have to if we don't want to. If we don't want to be with that man, if we don't want to have sex with him, you don't do that ever. Don't let anybody make you feel like you have to. I think it's it just makes me angry that these guys on online dating basically ask you for sex on the first moment and assume you're going to have it. It's what's turned me off, actually, because I'm fussy. Anyway, through all my fussiness, yes, my days are ticking on. I go on a date. I don't like that guy. Of course, I'm never going to have sex with him. I go on the next date. Don't like that guy. No, that's the end of that one. I never want to see him again. Coming up, another year's gone, and I'm getting another year on in my 60s, and I'm going to end up 70 and no sex, 75 and no sex. Am I going to be 80, no sex, 90 in my grave and hadn't had sex for 30 years? I think it's just horrible. I don't know why I'm like this. I'm fussy, you know. Anyway, so I sort of got in my mind that it's about time, Joanne, that you actually made an effort. And I started talking to a really nice guy. He was in Italy at the time. And he said he was actually a few years younger than what he actually was, which really annoyed me, because even though on this online dating, I have dropped my age, but I've dropped my age for a reason, so I can get men my age. If I really said my age, you're getting people in their 70s and 80s. I don't want to do that. I need a man my age, a man with a bit of oomph. Anyway, so I started talking to this guy, and he was in Italy, and it just sort of built up after a few weeks. And I had a lot to talk about because I'd been to all those places he'd been to, and we were really sharing well and getting on really, really well. And he was over there with his son. And I really liked his conversation. I really enjoyed it. He was really, really nice. He is still really nice. We're actually quite good friends now. But he was just this really nice guy. And I decided maybe, just maybe, I should make the effort and do the deed. Just thinking about it at this stage. Anyway, it was decided he'd get back on the Monday. And we actually decided to meet on the Monday night. And I'm not a drinker, so for me to have any more than one drink means, anybody must be fair game, because I get really, really, really tipsy. And I definitely don't drink wine or prosciutto or whatever that stuff is. If I do, I'll have one gin, maybe two, but usually only when I'm with my cousin, and then I'll eat and go home. Anyway, so this one night I got all really dressed up really, really nicely, and I decided to go on this date with this guy. And I actually had really liked him because we'd sort of corresponded so well through text messages and WhatsApp, and I liked the sound of his voice. So I drove down to the yacht club and I pulled up, and I was really happy to see he was actually tall, and nicely dressed. Now that's very important. I like to know they've got like a Ralph Lauren top on, or something like that they've actually gone to the trouble to buy something decent to wear. I really like that. So it was really nice to see him. And we sat down, and he, I can't remember if I had a gin or what I had, but first drink was down. And then we're chatting away, and I'm really liking this guy. And then the second drink, I think he got me wine, prosciutto or bruschetta. I don't know the name of it. But anyway, that sort of put me over the edge. And I'm getting closer, and I'm getting closer. And I'm getting closer to him. And I started to get really cheeky and like really snuggle up. I'm thinking, actually, I don't even know what I was thinking then, because I wasn't thinking at all. And he was really enjoying the moment too. And my leg was really close to him and blah, blah, blah. And I'm not paying attention that I'm older, and I'm not paying attention to anything, because by this time I'm on my third drink. And third drink to me is like, oh my God, try not to say anything you shouldn't say or do anything you shouldn't do. But it was a little bit too late for that. So then he said to me, would you like to have dinner? Where would you like to go? And I was thinking, he said, would you like to eat here? And I said, no. And he said, what about up my way at Labrador? And my mind's actually thinking, I think I want to go home with this guy. Now, ladies, don't judge me. Don't judge me, because if I never do it again, at least I've made an effort, So I agreed I'd go up to his place, up downstairs to where he lives, where there's lots of cafes and restaurants. Anyway, I drove in my car, he drove in his car, and I was a little bit maybe over the limit, which was really, really, really naughty of me. But either way, I got there safely. And he met me at the door, and he said, would you like to come up and have a look at my unit? And I said, yeah, why not? Usually I would never go into somebody's place that I don't know, but up I went. Well, we sat there talking, and I actually had dinner for him because I just got back from India and had done this online cooking. I'd done a cooking course in India and learned how to cook all these wonderful different Indian curries. So I bought him dinner. And I said, I actually bought you dinner. So if you want to eat that, we don't have to go out and eat, because I'm not really hungry. By this time, I'm feeling really, 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 really nervous and a little bit anxious. And I could just imagine myself eating, because when I do eat like a bit of an animal. Yeah, we'll slough it all up. I really like to eat places where it doesn't matter what you look like. I don't like being a lady. Anyway, so he sat down and ate his, and then we sat on the couch, and he got me another drink. And oh my God, it was all on from there. I'm not even going to say what happened. I'm not even going to say. But I did like it when he kissed me, because I hadn't been kissed for so long. And when he put his arms around me, and it was like the nicest hug, because I hadn't been hugged for so long. Anyway, I sort of lost it after that. I don't know how I ended up in that other room on that bed. But I did. What can I say? Glad I did it though, because I didn't think I could, and I was really proud of myself. Anyway, I sort of said, got to go. And off I went home. And that's my little story. Naughty Joe. Naughty Joe did it on the first date. But we went and had quite a few more dates after that, and I'll fill you in on all them later. Next time we're talking, we're going to have a few guest speakers. I'm going to get my sister on board, Miss V, and see what she thinks about her online dating, and also my girlfriend, another V, and this is another Miss V, and she's going to tell me how she feels about all her online dating. Because even though I don't like it, there's a whole community of these people that do this online dating. So let's hear their opinions. Let's hear the cons and the pros, and you can make up your own opinion. Speak to you later. Bye.